Oh. Guys, look at those. Oh my god. We're back. I'm here with Darth Maul and Darth Vader. Ridiculous. Oh my gosh. I have to read this. It's so crazy. Oh, what's up, Rivers?
Oh, I found it.
What's going on? What's up, guys? I am super excited because it's been a while. I'm sorry. I want to make sure I have all my ducks in a row. For some reason, I have a picture of Jim Halpert from The Office looking at me from my phone because Amber sent me a GIF. Anyway, what's up, guys? Oh my god. We're here to talk about Star Wars again, your favorite thing in the universe, or our favorite thing in the universe, and we'll make it your favorite thing in the universe because we love it. What's going on? I'm joined again by Adam, or Darth Maul, and
I am
Chris.
well trained.
I forgot that it had the voices too. Oh my gosh. This is why you shouldn't do
Did you
things
do
to
that,
your
Chris?
friends.
No, I don't have any voices.
Oh gosh. Oh. So
I have many
guys,
choices of dialogue, though.
do you have any dialogue from the video game that you've memorized that of his?
No,
No, not at all. Not even a little. Not even a little. So my original plan was to sit here and chat about
anything, it's because it's
I'm more worried about what the most, the sexiest way to watch them, I guess, is. Do you guys want to know what my answer is?
Naked.
First, so you kind of have an example of what I'm talking about.
I suppose. I got an idea.
So for me, I was thinking the way I would tell someone if they were to just just now getting into them. If you were to just start watching, I think Rogue One is actually a good movie to start with because it's so
Oh, I gotta go.
Oh
That's it.
god,
I'm done.
come
Bye.
on. Don't do that. It's because it's so new, and I think it's just so it's so updated. The mask is so ridiculous. I can't get past that stupid you. It's because the eyes are pointing in different directions. That's what's making it worse. Oh my gosh. Is that? Hey, I got you that for Christmas. It came super late. I'm so sorry. It came really late.
Okay, so did I.
It came really late, obnoxiously late. Anyway, oh my god, that mask just threw me all off. Chris, first off, how are you? Second off, how would you watch the movies if you were to introducing someone to it? What order would you tell someone that it was important to watch these movies? These movies important to not only our history as a people, but our history as a human race. And any other way I could amp these movies up without looking like I'm definitely lost and looking for something.
I might say that going in honestly just year of production might be the best way to go.
Year of production?
I mean, I remember before Phantom Menace even came out, I was a huge fan of Star Wars already.
But I mean, in the sense of, so if I was new coming
Phantom of Star Wars,
and you've never seen in Star Wars, and it's now, you would say start with the first one they made.
Yeah, absolutely. And then from that point, the prequel trilogies, and then maybe I might get nitpicky before even hitting the sequels, but totally. Just because part of what makes appreciating some of those bigger moments in the original trilogy is not knowing a lot of stuff that happens to them beforehand.
Right.
And if you saw the prequels beforehand, I guess maybe definitely never. Just don't start with the prequels. Don't go in chronological. I don't think that's the right way to go. At the very least,
Right.
but because there's so much like that they set up in each movie itself that. But if you watched like, I just to counteract what you're saying about Rogue One, I would say that
which is the better idea.
what
But go
makes
ahead.
that sweet Rogue One is really awesome.
If you care.
It does set up a lot of stuff for New Hope for sure. But one of the reasons that like hallway scene with Vader is so cool is because like the first scene in it's just because like the first scene in New Hope was so amazing to start
Right.
with. I think if you were to come out from that like murderous mayhem and then go to like the New Hope where they're just kind of sitting there like, I don't know, it's a little less like explosive. And they didn't have like production. They were inventing the effects back
Wheel.
then.
Okay, Adam, what's your response to this? I have a reason why I think Rogue One should go first, and I know you both aren't going to agree with it, but I think I'm right. Go ahead.
Makes sense plot-wise for sure.
I guess if you're watching in order from worst to best, you would watch Rogue One first. But other than that,
the worst. Rogue One is such a good movie, man. You're killing me.
It's got to be 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you want to throw the
right.
Extra stuff in there, like Chris said, you can get nitpicky. After I watch 4, 5, 6, then I would watch in order chronologically. Which, yeah, I guess it's a little different from Chris because I would watch it in release date order until I got to episode 3, and then I would watch in chronological order after that because I would watch 4, 5, 6 again to reappreciate what the prequels give you. But like Chris said, you can't really appreciate the original trilogy if it's not the first thing you watch, at least in terms of like the emotional investment and the twists and stuff. As long as it hasn't been spoiled for you, which has been spoiled for everybody on the planet.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't have an idea of what's happening, 4, 5, 6, you have to watch it that way. And then 1, 2, 3, you get more of an appreciation for one if you've watched 4, 5, 6, because it gives you more context for what they're going through. And I don't know. I think my order would be 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the Solo and Rogue One thrown in chronologically. But I totally agree with Chris. The reason Rogue One is as cool is because we care who Darth Vader is, and we care about the Death Star,
right?
And we know what's about to happen in A New Hope, but we didn't know that it was going to end, and then New Hope was going to begin when Rogue One came out. So that was like a huge whoa. So I don't know. For me, I think that it's really cool to see Darth Vader in the hallway. It's really cool to see him choke out Krennic. It's really cool to see the Death Star. But all of that is made 10 times cooler because I care about who Darth Vader is already.
Can I tell you both why you're both wrong?
Watch.
Can I tell you why you're both wrong now?
No.
Not
interested.
Because you're both wrong. No, it's not wrong. You're not wrong. I shouldn't say that. You're not both wrong. But my reasoning is
we can't be because you're wrong.
My reasoning is this, is that all right, it's 20 at this point, right? If you're watching Star Wars for the first, and that's how I'm kind of thinking about it, is like Amber, right, has never seen like a Star Wars until I like brought her into Adam. It's so frustrating. Like I can see the pain.
I know what you're gonna say, and it's a bad reason.
I can see the pain on your face before I even explain it. He already looks like it hurts him. I'm just saying, for someone who already knows they know what Star Wars is already, right? Like, you know who Darth Vader is at this point. Like, everyone knows who Darth Vader is. So I feel like the weight of all the things you're talking about isn't lost on someone who's never seen a Star Wars movie before. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know who these characters kind of are. Like, Amber knows like a Star Wars reference, even though she's never seen Star Wars. Like, she knows like who these characters are and where their place like lies with it. So I don't think it's any less cool to see like, oh my god. Don't even want to hear it. Don't even want to hear it. I'm just saying. I think for someone who's never seen
give me a
Star
thumbs up
Wars,
when you're done. I'm gonna take my headphones out.
For someone who's watching it for the first time now, I just feel like that's the better way to do it. Start with Rogue One and then work into them from there, because like Rogue One starts with, like I said, it's newer technology. It's like, because that's Amber's thing. She's always like, why do I want to watch this movie with puppets in it? You know?
That's what I knew you were going to say.
And so it's like, it's the
That's a
cooler
terrible
thing.
I'm getting angry. My blood pressure is rising.
I see how frustrated it's making you. It's so funny. I'm sorry, man. I just mean all around. I think it's the better way to watch it. But hey, I don't know. Anyway,
the first time I see a TIE fighter shouldn't be someone no-scoping it with a crossbow. It should be like the whole. Because by your logic, you're saying you could watch season 2 of The Mandalorian just because you know who Luke Skywalker is, and it'll still be cool. That's not true. It's only cool because of the anticipation that's built up through years of loving Star Wars and loving Luke
Skywalker. You can't ask people that like
Rogue One. We built and built and built and built up to what happens at the end.
So how do you?
90% of the build-up is because we love it already.
That? Like, how do you recreate that feeling by watch? And what
you can't.
would you?
The only way you can compare to it is by watching the trilogies first.
Okay.
That's the only way you can get close. You can't recreate it, but at least if you go into it. Now, when you first asked, you said someone who's never seen it before.
Right.
I mean, most people who've never seen it know the story of it because they haven't seen it by choice at this point. But if I was showing Rivers for the first time and he was 6 years old, I'm watching 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because he's going to be like, whoa, every time Darth Vader comes on screen and, freak out every time he sees R2-D2. And then when Rogue One happens, yeah, R2-D2. And then when Rogue One happens, it's going to be insane. It's going to blow his tiny little brain out of his ears. Yeah. That's what I think. If I was showing like Carly and she'd never seen it for the first time, then I don't care what she wants to watch. She can watch whatever. Well, yeah, but if she's like, I want to watch the newest one first because I don't care about puppets, then Star Wars might not be for you anyway. So, I mean, I don't really have a preference at that point. But if you're talking about someone who I'm trying to introduce to the lore to give some semblance of the feelings that I had for it, then I'm going 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
If you're trying to get someone, Chris, 7, 4, 5, 6, if you're trying to get someone excited about it, like excited about Star, and they're kind of like mediocre, like, oh, Star Wars is kind of a show about puppets. Like, is that the order you would tell them? Would you still tell them to watch it in that order? Would you still tell them to watch it in that order, or would you tell them to switch it up? Like, if they are approaching it in the sense of like, oh, these are kind of just okay movies, get me excited, like make me excited about them. It's just like, then don't watch this.
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's not going to be watch the sequels, and those are like also technologically like they look great, but they're not super duper.
Right.
They won't like hook you in, especially if you don't know who keeps dying.
What's going on?
Which movie hooks you? Which movie hooks you, and you know?
Why do I care about this old lady?
Which one?
Mary Poppins. Yeah, sorry, Chaz, you're wrong. Next question.
I'm not. Oh, come on. All right.
I'm telling you, because like as a kid, like I loved the movies, and Phantom Menace hadn't even come out. Nothing like that had come out.
Right.
Even honestly, if I was showing someone like that who is jaded for the first time, they're like, I don't care about puppets. If I'm even going to get past that conversation, which isn't likely, if I am, I'll probably start with Revenge of the Sith, and then go like 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, or whatever. But because Revenge of the Sith is advanced enough technologically and still cool enough, and it has something for most people. But now those people are going to mock like the scenes that are heavy in that movie. Like every time Carly watches Revenge of the Sith, she mocks at the end. It makes me so mad. It's just so emotional. But so like, there's no winning with people like that. I would just let them watch whatever they want. If they want to watch Rogue One, be my guest. I'll let me know when it's over.
Oh my gosh. See, this is
I get what you're
This
saying
is-
technologically, but half the charm is the puppets and the practical effects, the fact that you can see the lines and the visual effects and stuff. Like that's half the charm of
Right.
Star Wars. And if you really want to avoid it, just watch the special edition and watch all the crap they quote fic. So I mean, I don't really have an argument for those people. That's not the same thing as someone who's trying to get into Star Wars for the first time. That's someone who like you're trying to convince to like something they're already predisposed to not liking. If I was showing it to Rivers when he's like five years old, we're watching it 4,
Right.
5, 6. We might even wait a couple years before watching anything else,
Right.
just to build it up.
I'm only gonna watch Star Wars. I get what you're saying. But my thing is just like my thinking was if somebody kind of has been like into the Mandalorian and is like, well, I kind of want to start getting into Star Wars. You know, where would we get them started in this fandom? And I forgot to remind.
If they're kind of into more Mandalorian, then you could go chronological. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If it's someone who's got nothing at all, no knowledge whatsoever, you got to start with 4.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just trying to throw the like, hey, maybe start with Rogue One because whatever. Adam gets so fired. He gets so mad at me. I like it. Like,
It's just that Rogue One sucks. That's all it is.
I really
It's
like
it's
that
got
movie.
nothing to do with you.
Chris, do you like it? Do you not like Rogue
Yeah,
One?
you keep trying to bring it up.
I'm going to force the force with me. Force with me. No! Oh my
That's
god.
So
Blind guy McSqueezy.
Oh my god.
Blind guy being squeezy. You're so funny. Oh my gosh. All right. So this is the other question I had. If you could hire, so the Cantina Band, everyone.
Oh,
knows
this one
who-
I.
Hold on, I lost you, Adam. What'd you say?
This is the question I didn't understand. Make Chris answer it first.
So
wait,
this is
hold on,
what
I
I
know
meant. The
this one.
Cantina Band, right?
Yeah.
So, if you could hire them, and they were for hire, right? And you obviously know which can. I mean, there's only one Cantina Band. There's only the one. If you could hire them, I was just wondering, like, where would you, like, what venue would you hire them to go to? And then,
Bar mitzvah.
I knew you were gonna say that. And then, like,
Oh.
would you have any requests for them to play? But I mean, like, in the style of that one song. So they would do requests, but it would be
Answer
in
the
the
question
style
now.
of just the like, like it would just be the one. But you could like request like, oh, I want to hear like Studio or whatever with Phil Collins, and it's like, all right, but in that style of the like with those instruments. That's what I meant. Like I said, I was running after my son while I was writing these questions, so I was like, none of this is gonna make sense. Now that you understand,
Well,
it's a stupid question. It's a dumb question. It doesn't make any sense. But I was just thinking, like,
I
my
mean,
brother's getting married soon, and he was like talking about music, and I was like, oh, as a joke, I'm like, you should hire the Cantina Band, and they would only know the one song, and I was like, oh, well, you could get them a request, I guess.
oh man,
You know, I figure you could do requests,
They would-
and then they would just do it like in that style. It would be awesome. But I would hire them for a wedding for sure.
Oh.
They seem like romantic guys, and they seem like they already have
I
like
mean-
get-ups on, so they'd be ready to go.
They'd probably sleep right.
they'd probably be really good, like just a bar gig, They'd probably do good covers. They could probably do a good Bohemian Rhapsody or something.
Ooh.
They look like they could crush that. I thought you guys would put way more thought into this. I was thinking about this so much. I was like,
I put all my time trying to understand what the question was, not what my answer would be.
I was like, oh, it'd be cool if like they covered like Honey Crows or something. Like, oh, that'd be awesome. But you guys are like, I don't even... yeah, right. That's what I mean. Like,
what's this
now you're getting it.
It's the opposite of Phyllis's wedding. Every little thing she does is magic. Do that.
In the Cantina Band style. That's what I mean. That'd be so
They,
good.
remember when someone made a meme a couple years ago of that song with the Childish Gambino song, where he's like, onomatopoeia, but instead of going onomatopoeia, he says, and then it cuts to
God damn.
I have been obsessed with Star Wars memes lately, like to the point of madness. I've been laughing a lot. All right, so I guess these are the more serious questions. Like I said, that was just a dumb question. I thought
Oh, that was as seriously as I get.
that was just a dumb question. I thought you guys might like. Somebody, I was on Star Wars discussions on this Facebook group, and somebody asked if they thought Qui-Gon Jinn would be proud of ObiWan Kenobi towards, like, right before he faces Darth Maul on Tatooine. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the Clone Wars, you should watch it. Or no, sorry, Rebels. You should watch it. I should probably put, like, spoiler alert way ahead of time before I say actual spoilers, but
Spoiler boiler.
So this is kind of a random question, but I thought it was interesting because first off, it made me think of like, what does being proud of something mean to a Jedi? Like, can a Jedi be proud of something if they're never really? Oh my god!
Continue.
As I try to get more serious. Anyway, yeah. So it started to make me think like it's kind of a decent question when you think about it. So what do you think? Like right before, obviously he hasn't dealt with Luke and what's going to happen quite yet. So he's still on Tatooine, like facing the trials of being in the desert at this point. So how do you think if he was to be able to interface with Qui-Gon at this point, what do you think Qui-Gon's feelings would be towards him?
Now, at this point, weren't they in some kind of astral communication so that Qui-Gon could teach him the ways of becoming a Force
I don't know if
ghost?
this is happening all the time. And at this point, all I know is that it's happened with Yoda. But I don't know of, unless you know of stuff in the comic books, I don't know of them communicating at this point yet. Because right, like I said, this is him and Darth Maul meeting up. So
Right.
the babies are still like babies, like not even maybe 2 or 3 years old, maybe not even outside of it.
In Revenge of the Sith, doesn't Yoda say something to Obi-Wan about Qui-Gon or like an old master having lessons for him?
Yes. So, but is he?
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
He's
I don't
like,
know. Is he all the time in communication
Like,
with him?
Very. I guess. Well, throwing that out, just answering your question on the intent of it, I would say that yes. No, I think he's probably proud of him. I mean, Anakin chose his path. Obi-Wan trained him as well as Obi-Wan could. I don't think Obi-Wan trained Anakin the way Qui-Gon would have, but I also think that Anakin wouldn't have been as vulnerable to what happened to him had he not lost Qui-Gon. Because he lost Qui-Gon and Shmi, which made him afraid to lose Padme. But Qui-Gon, I think, was more more, I don't know, like remove yourself from the attachment of it, whereas Obi-Wan was too attached to Anakin to see the attachment of it. So they would have trained Anakin differently from each other. But I mean, Obi-Wan did everything correctly. I mean, when he realized he had to act, he acted, and he acted on behalf of what was right for more than just himself or more than just the people he cared about, which Qui-Gon would have been stoked on, I think. But I don't know. It's weird because Qui-Gon would have done everything pretty dramatically differently from what Obi-Wan did.
Yeah. So
So it's a weird.
yes, yes, he would be proud. Or... That's what I mean. It's an interesting
From
question.
Like Yeah, I think he'd be proud of him because he did everything for the right reasons. Even when he made mistakes, he didn't do them with ill intent, which I think Qui-Gon would have thought was honorable. And he did a lot of things that weren't exactly what the Jedi would have liked for him to do in terms of how attached he became to Anakin. And I think Qui-Gon would have commended his ability to think for himself and not just let, Mace think for him. But he definitely made a lot of mistakes, but I don't think that makes you less proud of him. I think it just means, if you make the mistakes for the right reason, then you can't not be proud of him anyway.
What do you think, Chris? How do you even interpret the question?
I don't know.
You guys are so good.
Does
you guys are good. You guys.
The thing is, does Qui-Gon?
You guys are prepared.
The thing is, does Qui-Gon? Does he know everything that's happening?
He knows everything.
Feel pride.
Did Ghost Camp feel proud? Wow, I don't know. I think Force Ghost could.
I think the issue with this question is,
does he know about Satine? Saltine? Does he know?
Now we're getting into the lore.
It's spicy.
That's what
I don't know. He probably does now. Adam, you basically convinced me, but I was gonna say absolutely not, because I was gonna say like, I would think that Qui-Gon would have been even more defiant. He was already way defiant of the Jedi Council as soon as he brought Anakin up, and he was probably had a crippled past with them, in the first place.
Yeah.
I know he's probably had some sort of history with Dooku or something like that too.
And Qui-Gon would have said like, "Oh, Darth Plagueis, yeah, let me tell you about it. You don't want to do it, but I'll at least
something."
tell you.
Yeah.
Telling you. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, proud. He probably would have been proud. I'm proud of you, Obi-Wan. Guess we'll find out.
I'm so proud.
He says.
You made me proud.
I know about Saltine.
So this is, I think that as far as answering the question itself, it's kind of difficult because it is kind of like, you did well. You guys did do a good job, actually. You did better than I expected because it is a weird question. But it's funny because then as I was looking through, the feed as people were answering this, people were taking it multiple ways, like you guys kind of did, which was, are you actually asking me if the Force Ghost himself is like, hey, I'm proud of you,
right. Well, of course he is. Duh.
Yeah, because then I'm sure he's like,
that would be a great
scene. But or is it like a metaphorical is my dad proud of me for the things I do? I don't know. So it's like one of those things where it's like it's like
I can't really is it?
Where it's like, is it, the question is, are you asking is he proud of him in the sense of the things he's done? Because Adam said, I think he would say, yeah, you did the best you could, as far as the way Qui-Gon, I think, would have followed the path in the sense of how he made the choices, not exactly the choices he made, if that makes any sense. I think that's what you were trying to say, Adam, where it's like Qui-Gon would have gone about it differently. He would have trained him differently, but he would have been the way you trained him. What?
Sure, I'll take a few death sticks. Sure. Master, are you sure? Just would have done it differently.
Yeah, Qui-Gon definitely would have murked Dooku. It wouldn't even been a contest.
You think so?
Oh man.
Yeah, of course.
Really? I don't know about that. I think Dooku could have taken him. He took on Anakin and Obi-Wan multiple times and did fine. So I think he'd be fine against the guy who got chopped up by Mr. Two Swords. I feel like Qui-Gon kind of gets played up in his sense of how good he was as an actual fighter versus Adam, the faces that he made is so ridiculous. I can just see like honestly, I feel like Qui-Gon Jinn is a little bit played up a bit much as far as like how good he is like a warrior. Like, not saying he's like a bad one, but like compared to other Jedi, he's definitely.
Understandable.
What did you say?
Interesting.
Well, I mean, come on, like versus like what? Obi-Wan. Even Obi-Wan is a better Jedi as far as fighting goes. I'm just speaking, just fighting. You're both looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, I feel like what I'm saying makes sense. Qui-Gon Jinn could be
Qui-Gon
Obi-Wan.
in both the
Qui-Gon
Phantom
Jinn in his
Menace
prime
game
could be
and
Obi-Wan Kenobi in his prime, is what you're saying.
Their primes are different because when Qui-Gon fights Darth Maul on Tatooine, it's the first time anyone's seen a Sith in thousands of years.
Right.
When Obi-Wan fights Dooku, he's been training specifically to fight Sith because they've seen Sith. So Qui-Gon had to react and adapt quickly to an unexpected occurrence and fight in a whole new style without practice. Whereas Obi-Wan was like, oh, cool, there's a Dark Lord. Let me get geared up specifically for a Dark Lord.
So then how did Obi-Wan beat him the first time?
Who? I have a theory about that, but that's for a different time. I think he tapped into his rage.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So I think in that way, it makes Obi-Wan a better fighter. I'm just saying.
He's a more powerful fighter, probably, but Qui-Gon's a more patient fighter.
Could Qui-Gon
he has
beat
more
Mace
inner
Windu?
strength. Well, no, but Mace is like canonically the strongest fighter, isn't he?
I would say.
Other than Yoda?
Yeah. As far as from what I know from canon, I actually watched an episode of the Clone Wars the other day where like he announced like I've killed over like it was like a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
I was like that seems like an odd amount of droids to kill, but anyway. Sorry. So you, I don't know. You guys seem like
Jedi power. Qui-Gon's gonna win. He's got better powers.
You seem like I'm crazy for thinking Qui-Gon's not like as powerful as I think. I think he's like a sage, like wise dude, but I just don't think he's necessarily like whatever. Okay. What in the most
It's a wise old owl.
What in like most recent canon is giving you like whatever? That's not in the extended universe. Because in the extended universe, I'll agree with you. He's a beast. Anyway, what do you think his relationship, or like, what do you think he thinks of Rey? So now, if we do think of Qui-Gon Jinn as a Force Ghost who is like sentient enough to kind of see what's going on, what do you think he would think of all the way? Now we're at Rey. What do you think he would think with her relationship? Think about her relationship with the Force and how she uses the Force, and if that question makes sense to you guys, I feel like they're too much for you.
I think Rey uses the Force kind of similarly to Anakin because they both lack training. So when Anakin's 9 years old or whatever and Qui-Gon finds him, Anakin uses the Force as a tool without really realizing it. Rey thinks of the Force as a tool before she's corrected. And I think that Qui-Gon would respect her ignorance based on the fact that she hasn't had the opportunity to be trained. Because he's more patient than someone like Mace. Mace probably wouldn't think of Rey as a good candidate, whereas Qui-Gon might look at it and be like, cool, you know that there's some kind of Force there. You just think of it as a tool, not as something that flows through you. So I have to correct that, misconception. But I don't think most Jedi would dislike Rey. I think there would be a debate. Like if you brought Rey in front of the council and you said, should we train her? I think it would go pretty similarly to how it went with Anakin, where she feels a lot of fear and she's too old. And, certain people will think that she's not worth training. And I think Qui-Gon would be on the Rey side of all those arguments because they're basically the same arguments as Anakin.
Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't think about the question in regards to the fact that, and when it, like now that the lore is kind of all played out, Rey turns out to be Palpatine. So now that question's kind of different now. Not different in the sense like maybe Qui-Gon would think differently about her, just different in the sense that she definitely uses the Force like in a much more like Anakin
I mean, her
style.
midichlorian count is off the chart.
It is. Well, they brought up midichlorians in the Mandalorian. What did you guys think about that? I thought it was kind of
The
graceful.
Mandalorians.
I feel like these are bangarang questions.
The Mandalorians.
Oh my god.
What did I think of that? I thought that was cool because I thought it was the Dark Troopers were more like what they were in the Jedi Knight games. Because in the Jedi Knight,
right,
they're Force sensitive, but they can't use the Force.
right.
So I thought that they would be more like that than what they ended up being. But
so you thought the mention of
I
the
don't know.
midichlorians was for that specifically?
Yeah. I mean, whatever. I mean, we're spoiling Mandalorian now, but
Oh,
whatever
sorry.
those things were.
My bad.
It think about what the donor is, and we've talked about this, off camera. But whatever the donor is for those tube thingies,
Yeah.
having a midichlorian count, that's interesting to think about. Is it someone? Is it a willing donor? Is there some Jedi chained up in a bacta tank somewhere? From
Yeah.
So
I
that
got
part of
asked
it's
a
interesting.
question by a family member of mine actually about like where Grogu is now, like or like he was just saying we know like all this stuff has happened. We know like Luke's trained all these Jedi. Like where's Grogu? Like where did he go? And he was like where it because he's confused. He's like we should have seen him in the movies or something. Like where would you think he would be right now? And that's kind of where my explanation came from, was from when they mentioned midichlorians and tying it with needing a donor. I thought to myself, well, that's so either Grogu gets captured. So we know one of two things: either he gets captured again because they need more, or they find someone else. So that's all I know.
Didn't they say that Grogu was saved from Order 66?
He was, yeah.
From
the Purge.
So my assumption is that my assumption has been that whenever he's grabbed by Din in season 1 and he's in that little crib, that he's been there, for a period of time, and that's where he's been protected. And Din was hunting him down for the Empire, so that because they heard about him.
Right.
But I think that part of season 1 will be much more significant in season 3. I was surprised that it wasn't more significant in season 2. Because that'll explain where he, how he got there and why there was an IG droid and like all this stuff. Or not an IG droid, but the what was protecting him? I have to watch that episode again. There's like droids.
Yeah, there was
right?
It was like he was in a town with like I'm trying
like
to remember what kind
but
of
it was specifically for him.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what kind of aliens they were. But they were he was like in a compound where they were like protecting him.
Yeah, there was like Corins and stuff. Yeah, I think that whatever put him in there, whoever put him in there for protection, probably had him safe for a long time, and then someone just spilled the beans, and the Empire was like, "Cool, that's the donor we need. Let's go get him," because they thought they killed all the Jedi, other than I guess Ahsoka at this point and Luke, but they're not going to get Luke, and they're not.
And they need
So
someone.
they need
now. What do you think? See, now I'm getting into crazy stuff because now we're getting into the loop that people are starting to talk about. That's gonna reset the whatevers. I don't know.
So I've got a theory.
Yeah.
Well,
So I had to look up when I was trying to do some research about the Dark Troopers. So the Dark Troopers actually came from the Dark Forces, just that one video game. And they were just machines. They were just super powerful machines. But so I've got this crazy theory about, and it has to do with Moff Gideon too, but it also has to do with them maybe using some more troopers, like Adam was saying, from the Jedi Knight, essentially the Jedi Outcast game,
Right.
which was the Shadow Troopers,
Right.
which
Shadow
actually the Shadow Troopers were part robot, but they were also like I think they were just in this crazy armor that also had like cortosis. They had cortosis armor, so it was like able to block lightsabers or resist lightsabers. So I feel like Moff Gideon, after getting in that crazy fight and realizing at least that there's something that can absolutely destroy every single one of his stupid dark troopers he spent so long on, he can maybe push the technology further, have some lightsaber resistance, and then actually have partially human, maybe bionic, some sort of living being in there that can gain these force powers or whatever, maybe clone army, whatever he's doing.
That would be sick.
Who knows what he's actually doing,
So
but
sick.
yeah, just to continue this whole like, oh, this is the next generation of this thing. This is the next generation.
That makes me
But
wish we would
that
have
would
seen.
obviously involve him leaving the prison or leaving wherever he's at. You know.
Right. No, I actually agree with that. The only thing because that's what I thought of too. The only thing that holds me back from going all the way down that thread is that they're not in 7, 8, 9. Like I remember there was that trooper in 7 that was supposed to be a specific trooper designed to hunt Jedi that had like the electric staff thing. But I don't know. That's the only thing holding me back. But yeah, the Shadow Troopers are what I was thinking of from Jedi Outcast.
And then go invisible and stuff. Oh my god.
Well, see,
but they have that.
Here's the thing why that's so interesting is because to me it kind of goes towards what my theory is, which is this is like, oh man, it's so hard. How do I go down this road? Because I'm about to start talking about like Gallius Rax and all types of crazy stuff. So it might be better not to go that way. But I was thinking like it's starting to get into the fact that we have to start to create the new, like, you know, the First Order. Like that has to start happening at some point in time. And so like I think that's what's interesting about where that thread does start to go, because it starts to lead you, like you said, you're starting to like deal with building better and better troopers, but we know for a fact that those troopers are going to go away at some point in time, and then we get like what Adam said, whatever, you know, what the iterations are for the First Order. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Anyway, I'm sorry, I went way off and we started talking about the Mandalorian, and it gets me all excited. That shows.
How do you the Mandalorian might have anything to do with the Knights of Ren at some point too?
They have to use that at some point.
The Shadow for idea, because they're like, oh wait, we can just corrupt actual Force users using Snoke and get ourselves a Kylo Ren, and then we don't even have to talk about it anymore. But
and it could be
that's the whole season 2. I thought they were setting up Shadow Troopers, like Chris said, because the armor and the reason so poorly is because they're droids. They don't have any strategy or the ability to adapt and react to something that's not, you know, what they're thinking is about to happen. So the reason Luke smokes them is because they just walk in a line and get smoked because they're idiots. So I mean that wouldn't happen.
Lightsaber.
Right. That wouldn't happen in Jedi Outcast because they had brains. But also in Jedi Outcast, I think half the reason they even exist is just to give you an enemy that you can't kill in one swipe. So like you have to hit them 15 times just as a video game mechanic, and the excuse they have to make that mechanic is armor. So like I think that's probably, I don't know, like knowing Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's writing style, they could pull from that and say, well, now we can make it lore as opposed to just a video game mechanic. But I also think at its inception, it wasn't designed as a way to, you know, come up with something super cool for Star Wars canon. It was designed to make the video game have a level that wasn't just stormtroopers or a Sith.
That makes sense.
So that's. But again, the only thing that I keep going back to mentally is that they're not in 7. If they were in 7, or Luke mentioned them, or Rey had to deal with them, or
or Finn mentioned him as a stormtrooper. Like if they were in 7 at all, it would be interesting. But then the other thing about the original Empire is that they had a lot of people who were super skeptical about the Force, and Darth Vader just happened to, be OP, but he was the only one that was outwardly, Force conscious. So I mean, they had a lot of people in the Empire who were like, yeah, the Force is a bunch of crap, and then Vader would choke him out. So in 7, 8, 9, they might have had just a bunch of people like that, and Kylo just walking around all angsty. So it's kind of tough. Because if Mandalorian existed and 7, 8, 9 didn't exist, I think this conversation would have so many more ways to go. But because 7, 8, 9 exists, and because they're so close to Mandalorian in terms of timeline,
and they have such concrete and definitive things that happen too.
Right. It's not like this come out of nowhere with his T-Rex head and just change backstory. Like, it's just not going to happen. The only thing that could happen would be, I think they could do something with like the Massassi Temple. That would be crazy. And now that they can make Luke exist, they could easily make like Mara Jade exist, or Kyle Katarn or Mon Mothma could, there's a bunch that could happen that does happen in the video games that's really cool that could happen in Mandalorian and be neat. And they still have Ahsoka to mess around with. That it's just totally interesting. But I that's the one thing. What the bad guys do is the weirdest thing to me, because it's not that it's not interesting. It's just that what happens in the next, iteration of Star Wars. You've skipped that step. It's like saying the clone troopers in episode 3, I wonder if they're going to turn into super stormtroopers. That they're not, because you've seen episode 4. So I mean, that's the only thing about it that makes it kind of challenging. But
my nerdy brain,
when they were talking about it, the whole shadow troopers, I got my terms mixed up, but when Chris explained it, it reminded me. But that's the part that the whole season up until the last episode, I was like, we're going to see shadow troopers and it's going to be nutty. And then it was the Dark Troopers.
No, I didn't see that coming at all.
But
I thought to myself we would see what's it called? Once we saw them in the episode where they came and got the baby, I was super excited because then it clicked. I was like, oh, maybe those are from that video game. That's when it clicked. But I didn't see it like I had no idea it was like on the way. Like I didn't see it coming at all. I was like, oh, cool. Those are from that game. It did make me think to myself though, in real time, how terrible the Empire is at making droids compared to like the Sith or like the Separatists. They were way better at making droids than, because I'm like those droids were pretty good, but I feel like the droids were much more challenging, or at least not the B1s.
Just in terms of
creativity.
Better, yeah. No, you're right. They're pretty uninspired in design and like I said, cognitive function.
Yeah, like what they can do, they're just like there's enough of us.
Use 2 fists. Super punch.
Of course, yeah. Luke is like it's not even close to a matchup for Luke, which I think is cool cinematically. The fact that it's kind of like the Vader scene where they have no chance to do anything against him. It's just an unescapable
where something for
force of will.
Other characters was doom. We know coming in, we're like, oh well, this is gonna be easy. This is light work for a Jedi, So right,
the whole time before Luke shows up, you're like, whoever shows up next, whether it's Ahsoka or Luke, it's gonna smoke these guys. Like it's a foregone conclusion. There's no chance that they have to fight even like a half-fledged Jedi.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really
and like
they weren't. Even Din beats one.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't really like wreck him or anything, but Din's not like a good fighter either. It's just, I don't know. I didn't think they were.
Wait, did you say he's not a good fighter?
I'm still as whether I have any like respect for Gideon or what he does. I just don't think they're that good, guys. I think they haven't fought anyone formidable, and as a result, they look pretty formidable. But they haven't really done anything smart or powerful.
Yeah.
So if Snoke is pulling the strings and they show that at some point, that changes my opinion.
Yeah.
But if like, Kylo shows up or something happens that changes that. Yeah. But as it stands right now, they're pretty weak sauce. They lost ship. We talked about it last time. They lost ships really easily. They've no real order to themselves. Gideon is just power hungry.
So
and
can I tell you?
risk. So I mean,
can I tell you my theory? This is my theory. It's terrible, but I think it's gonna work. So this is why I think this is happening. I think it's because Okay, so for people who haven't read the books or like don't know what happens in Aftermath, there's this character called Gallius Rax, and he kind of is setting up the First Order, and it's a contingency plan that was set up by Palpatine for when he died. This is what would happen. It's a long story, but basically, clone me, push all of our forces to the outer regions, but while you do that, do these things in the process. Part of that process of getting his forces to the outer regions or to the unknown regions, part of that process was feeding information to the rebels or to the resistance to specifically dismantle pieces of the Empire that didn't work anymore and just keep the stuff that did and make the enemy think that they were winning something. So I think that part of this whole thing with Moff Gideon, I think Moff Gideon genuinely believes he's like doing something important. I think he genuinely believes like he's like oh my god.
I don't think your theory is necessarily wrong. Like I said last time,
a puppet basically is the long-winded way of saying it.
No, that's what I think too. I think Gideon is like a knight on the chessboard and not anywhere close to the status he thinks he has.
Yeah, I'm just connecting it to like the lore that we know exists.
Right. No, I don't disagree with that. I just don't know how much. I mean, The Mandalorian's done a good job of bringing all types of the fan base together.
Those
like
books
it
will
brings
come
Luke
in.
in.
They will.
Right. I don't disagree. I'm still not convinced that there's anyone in the iteration of the First Order that we're currently seeing, or the new Empire, whatever you want to call it, that is like at all good at their job or powerful in any way. Like I think that the Empire rule backwater planets through, just intimidation. And once they fight anything that's worth fighting, they just leave or get smoked. I mean, at least what we've seen so far. Even like what Ahsoka was doing, the weird, governess lady she was butting with. She's got a little tiny town in like full of homeless people. Like it's not that's something. It's not a Star Destroyer. It's just the big bads we've seen are not big or bad, in my opinion. And that's okay because there's so much of the Star Wars universe that is mundane. So like there are fights that seem epic to the people involved in them that are really on the Star Wars not very epic. But that tips the scales way too heavily. So I mean, Ahsoka tips the scales too, but Luke is just that's it. That's the king on the chessboard. Right. And the bad guys don't have anything close to that. Even with Snoke, they don't have anything close to that. So I mean, I just don't know what they can do short of showing like Rogue One style leading right into Episode 7 and how strong they are in Episode 7. I don't know what they can do that would show them halfway decent or strong, other than changing who Luke is as a character and putting him into hermit mode super early. But we know from Episode 9 that's not, or 8 or 9 that's not what he really does. So I mean, I don't know. It's tough for me because I think that I just don't have like that much. I'm not pulling for Gideon to be cool. I think that he's a low man on the totem pole, and I don't think he's that cool. I don't think he has anything that makes him cool other than that he happens to like have inherited a power vacuum. I agree with you that he's pulling the strings, but I also think that it being Star Wars and now us being 2 seasons or the equivalent of like 4 movies through it, they probably show some glimpse of it at this point, and they haven't. So I have a bad feeling about this. I have a bad feeling that The Mandalorian might just be what it is, and it might just be this for a long time, and that's okay because it's cool. But I don't know that it will end up being that significant in the canon because I just don't see, without having given us a little tiny taste of it yet, other than the I don't see how they could do it now. But I could be wrong. I do think that game is not like the big bad of Star Wars. I think but I think that like some movie or some other series will show how he wasn't. That it won't be for the Mandalorian to do because Mandalorian's all opinion Grogu. So I don't know.
I think the Mandalorian's technically about Sabine Wren, but that's okay. Yeah, we'll...
But everything they do with Ahsoka or with the Hunter Killer droid or with Luke, it's all just really really cool fan service.
Right.
It's not like really make compelling. Because there isn't somebody to compete with that on the other side of the table. So I mean, when Luke shows up, you just know, okay, this is gonna be sick.
At this point, I'm trying to think who the big bad is on the other side of the table. It's always Palpatine. And you know what's crazy is I remember saying from the beginning that the only way that Snoke is anywhere. I remember saying that from when Snoke was like the big bad guy.
We talked. Right, he's Palpatine.
It's like the only way I would be convinced that that he's the big bad. Like there was just nothing that could be worse to me than Palpatine. Like the only way it could be like the top is like Palpatine had been overseeing the whole thing the whole time, or else Snoke was just kind of like mildly scary. But because like what makes him so terrifying is that like, oh man, he's a pawn. This guy years and years later, who we think is like supposed to be his own entity. So yeah, I don't know, because I try to think of who the bad guy is at this time. And you're right. I think right now the galaxy's just chopped up. But I also think Luke, he's a symbol for what's going on. And obviously he does tip the scales. And but Luke isn't a part of he's not affiliated with whatever it's called. The New Republic is what it's called now. So he's not affiliated with the New Republic. Right. He's doing his own, it's like how it used to be, so he's going off to do his own Jedi thing. Leia at this point in time is starting to build up. We can see it starting now with when on one of the episodes one of the rebel pilots is talking to, gosh, help me with her name. I'm blanking. Anyway, either way, one of the rebel pilots is chatting with Gina Carano's character there. I can't remember the character's name for some reason. I don't know why. But and she says to her oh, we see trouble brewing on, in the outer regions and stuff like that. So I'm thinking that's where Leia starts to, build up the resistance and start to branch away from the New Republic because she needs to fight off this new kind of evil that's starting. So what I'm saying to say that is Luke doesn't really have any tie to the New Republic at all. He's doesn't need to come to the
Luke's tied into the in all the training.
So the only what I'm saying is the only reason Luke even showed up was because Grogu was there. So So my thinking is in the terms of the Empire versus who's going to be the Galactic Conqueror and all this other stuff. I don't think the bad guys are as worried about what Luke just did as far as come and grab. I think the plans that Palpatine have are far surpassed whatever is going on with Luke coming to grab Grogu at this point, because he's already thinking about cloning and this and that.
Had these plans since episode 1 or prior, this is still part of that same plan for him. But no, I'm not saying that Luke is there to tip the scales in terms of who cares about what. I just mean narratively, they don't have something to equal Luke's power on the negative side. Right, they just as a storyline, they don't have something to come in and be okay, this is just as cool as Luke just was, but it's bad.
Right.
That's just every other Star Wars. 7, 8, 9 has Kylo. Right. Right, that's true. We'll probably see something to do with
I was going to say, if that's where we're going, then before we go, what would you think would be that? Do you just create a bad guy? You make a badder one? Then Moff Gideon?
No, you don't bring Luke back as a show. But
Maul?
I do.
Maul's
Look,
dead at this point,
you
right?
said that it's always Palpatine. Filoni is Filoni's the reason it's always Palpatine, because it was always Palpatine in the Clone Wars too. So I mean, I could see it being Palpatine, but I don't think. I think if I'm Mandalorian season 3, I don't bring Luke back. I don't. Maybe Ahsoka, but she's got her own
I
thing
don't even
going.
think I don't think we see Grogu until the end of the season.
Right. Yeah. You got to do something that's based on Ian and Bill Burr and
Yes, bring back Migs, man.
and
Mayfield's the
and
man.
like that. That's all. That's all you have to do for Mandalorian. It doesn't have to be Jedi-y. It just has to be kind of cool to watch.
So in season 3, you don't think we're gonna see a lightsaber at all? Well, Ahsoka's coming too, so maybe we'll just.
You'll see a light.
In season 3, you think so?
I think. Yeah, you'll see a lightsaber. I just don't think it has to be Luke. I think they might have played the Luke card one time. Because they also have to bring in some actor and then superimpose Mark Hamill's face and voice, or recast. Like they did a lot for this one cameo that was super secretive and also it can't be easy to pull off. So I just don't know why they would do it as a main theme, unless it was, like I said, the Masasi Temple or something like that. But then it shouldn't be a Mandalorian show. It should be a Kyle Katarn show, or whatever. So I mean,
well, I agree with you. So
I just think that
if we're sticking on that course,
Star Wars has so many compelling things to explore that aren't Jedi related, and
we just want it,
Star Wars
has the coolest things in the universe. In that universe,
right? So Rogue One isn't my favorite Star Wars movie because it's the least Star Warsy of all the movies, and it's just
understand that.
but they still throw a lightsaber in there to keep it, Star Wars, and I think that they could do a whole show, and it might even be better, about some random people that have nothing to do with lightsabers, and it would be pretty cool.
I think
but
the
because it's Star Wars,
pretty much.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see. And they have so much in the pipeline, but I don't know. Season 3 to me will be about Din and Bill Burr and whatever her name is, and Carl Weathers flying around.
Now we have to go back and rewrap like the other episodes, because we've literally wound up wrapping the whole season. Now we have to go back and actually talk about the old episodes. Oh my gosh, man, he's getting so big. What's up, Rivers?
Hey.
What's going on?
What's up?
Oh my gosh, he's getting so big,
What's
man.
up?
What's the Rivers? Do you watch Star Wars? He's like, I have no interest in anything you guys are doing at all. Oh, see, look at you're raising a good kid, man. Is that the Zelda one too? Did I see you flash the Zelda one there? Oh,
yeah.
Oh. Hey now, someone's got a nerd for a dad.
Nice.
All right, all right, guys.
Nerd.
Well, that's it for this. It always goes by so quickly, and it makes me sad. An hour goes by so fast. But it was great to talk to you. Next week we're gonna cover The Mandalorian. I'm gonna rewatch the episodes. I've been so busy, so my schedule shifted, and I'm really bad at sleeping. I'm really bad at it, and I'm on nights now, so it's weird. But it was great talking to you guys. Let's play our theme music to get us out of here. It was made by Chris. Thanks again, man. Adam, thanks for joining me, buddy. I appreciate it. Chris, thanks again, dude. I appreciate your time. Talking Sith, you can find us on YouTube. Oh, I'm pulling the audio, and you'll be able to find us on Instagram, or on our podcast on iTunes. I knew that we were gonna put on this. Oh my gosh, it's the eyes in the Darth Maul mask that just completely different directions. Oh my gosh. Anyway, good night, guys. Thanks for joining us. Adam, thanks again. Chris, thanks again. Bye, guys. You guys have a good night. Again,